Welcome to the Imaginative Fiction Writers Association, our Friday night readings. For those who may not know, we are a Calgary writing group, IFWA. It was founded in 1988 to help imaginative fiction writers hone their skills and expand their knowledge base. To this end, IFWA engages in many activities, including critiquing written works, providing marketing advice, suggesting writing games and exercises, and notifying members about interesting events, contests, and writing opportunities. We are a writing group, not a book club. We have members collectively known as the IFWITs in all stages of development, including beginners, those trying to break into the market, published, and award-winning authors. The group also counts many small publishers and well-known authors as friends. So what is imaginative fiction? The current focus of the group is predominantly the speculative genres of fantasy, science fiction, and horror, but we are actually open to all genres and a variety of lengths, from flash to shorts to novellas to novels and series. Our members are mostly in and around Calgary, but also scattered all over the world. We have never missed a monthly meeting, even with a very frigid January. Now, we generally hold our meeting in the back room of the Sentry Box store here in Calgary. Unfortunately, the pandemic made crowded rooms a very bad idea. So rather than shut down, as some groups did, we started running meetings on Zoom. And in fact, we now have 2 Zoom accounts. You're on one of them, and our other is also providing content for this weekend. It's wonderful. We have tech. We mostly can make it work. We started holding our bedtime readings during the now defunct Conversion Science Fiction and Fantasy Convention, and now with When Words Collide on Friday nights. The format is as follows. Various IFWITs have stories that are possibly related to this year's theme, Gravity Street. Some have sent in titles, their name and word count, or hopefully are putting them in the chat box. We actually have 6 stories tonight. We start with the shortest piece and we'll work our way up to the longest one. We are scheduled for 2 hours, but I don't think we're going to be here that long just because we only have 6 stories, 3 of whom are very short. We may take some breaks in between to go, hi, how are yous, and whatnot. And we are recording these stories. So far, I have confirmation on all but one of them. The people has said yes, they want to be on the final product, so we will be uploading at least 5 out of the 6 stories onto the YouTube channel at some point in the near to far future. Those reading tonight also may have books for sale, so please do check out the shared author table. And you can't buy them directly there, but it takes you to links where you can indeed buy them either in physical stores in Calgary or online. So, are we ready for our first story? Happy Jance. Okay, Susan Forrest is our first reader with the title of her story is Language Barrier. So it is quite short, so I'm going to ask Susan and actually all the readers to do a very short intro for themselves and read their story. So Susan, you may unmute and enlighten us.
Hey, thank you very much. Well, to everybody here, it's wonderful to be back at Friday night readings again, Bedtime Stories with IFWA. I think everybody here knows me, but just to let you know, yeah, I'm a published author, and I'm nominated for an Aurora tomorrow night, so I'm excited about that. Anyway, and I've got a book coming out this year. The book launches tomorrow. It's called Flights of Marigold, and yes, it's on the shared authors table. Okay, so here is my short story, Language Barrier. Je m'excuse. You are the small one? You have something for me. Ma'am? Ah, le langue, it is so hard. I try and I try. How you say petit is small? Small, yes. Tiny, little? No, no, like this, like small enfant, like maman, she say. Oui, tiny, bitsy, like that? Ah, oui, that is what I hear. It's itsy bitsy. Who are you looking for? Itsy, I am tell. Itsy, she has a thing for me. How you say, le plaisir, a small food, delicious. Sorry, ma'am, that's all I can help you with. Oh, vous êtes grave. Sorry, ma'am. Next. Grave itty. Oh, c'est ça. Grave itty's treat. That's it.
Puns are the lowest form of humor, but huzzah! Okay. Yeah. Okay. That was very clever, though, Susan. Okay, our next contestant in this, hopefully not too much of a pun fest, Celeste Peters, has a weighty matter for us to enjoy.
Yeah, I'm a writer as well. To my side over here, I have some of the anthologies that short stories that my short stories have appeared in, and up over here you can't see the whole shelf, but that's all of my nonfiction that I've written and had published. So this. What I'm reading you tonight was a entry in a pandemic postcards contest. It didn't get anywhere, and for good reason. Sorry, I'm going to inflict it on you anyway, because it suits the theme. So, a weighty matter. Dear inventor of the Healthometer bathroom scales, I believe I have discovered a serious flaw in your otherwise excellent product. Since entering pandemic isolation in mid-March, my husband and I, regular users of your scales, have noticed an alarming upward trend on the digital display. Your first reaction might be, of course they're gaining weight. Like everyone else, they're eating too much buttered popcorn, butts glued to the sofa, binging on Game of Thrones. Sadly, no. Snack food and streaming subscriptions went out the door with our jobs when the world shut down. And that's not the half of it. Over the past 2 weeks, 18 people in our apartment complex have been diagnosed with COVID-19. This morning, through my front door peephole, I saw a neighbor take out their trash, coughing the entire length of our shared hallway. No kidding. They say a vaccine might be available in the next year or two. Emphasis on might. Even the slim possibility of falling under lifelong house arrest drives me to kicking chairs. So yes, I watch a lot of broadcast television, news. Turns out the U.S. is crumbling closer to civil war every day, with China and Russia circling like vultures intent to gobble up Canada in the collateral carnage. My point. The problem with your product is its complete inability to compensate for the increasing gravity of our situation. Please develop an appropriate fix. I would appreciate having some balance back in the world. Sincerely, Pollyanna Porter.
Yay! Thank you, Celeste. Okay. Another weighty story is coming up here from Dave Warsick, The Weight of Words.
Okay. The weight of words. They hit the war-painted dirt in a panicky, adrenaline-fueled avalanche. Jim struggled to position the light machine gun's bipod on the stony ground as Boris inserted the top-load magazine. Why does this bloody author always state the obvious? Does he think we won in a tea-fueled panic? Actually, I'd say we'd rather settle down leisurely. I certainly did not struggle with that gun stand, quipped Jim. Well, you know the author. He is dark and stormy battles hack, deeply in love with high literature and more adjectives than we have bullets. Boris hesitated and looked up at the lofty ceiling of cotton candy clouds. I am very jealous of characters whose authors actually know history, replied Boris the belligerent. They waited with strained breaths in their urine and sweat-soaked fatigues, peering everywhere for the eternally elusive yet omnipresent enemy's presence. I did not pee my pants, you stupid author, and of course we're all sweaty. It's summer and we've been hauling at least 40 kegs of equipment for 17 clicks, you pot-boiler excuse for a fine arts graduate. He meant 40 kilograms of ammunition, rations, equipment, and explosives, carried over 17 agonizing, knee-torturing kilometers toward a shell-raped, bullet-ripped, cadaver-pummeled hide of flayed Mother Earth. Jim shouted that they should head over to that crumbling building. Jim spoke very quietly. There's no censored way I'm shouting when I'm sneaking up on somebody, you sad shack of high school English classes. And excuse me for not shouting. Thank you for saying that, Jim. It had to be done, Boris, with this knuckle-typing high school locker dweller. Wait, hostiles coming this way. Jim procured a grenade from a pocket, tenderly pulled the pin with his kiss-starved lips, and threw it. Which did I throw, the pin or the grenade, ye great author? Asked Jim. Heck, the grenade floats higher into the air, said Boris as quietly as he could muster in this terrifying moment of heartless, hate-filled horror. The stupid writer's forgotten about gravity again, whined Jim, complaining as always, and I think he's going into another one of his poetic rants. See, even the enemy's running away. Then nothing happened. Well, that took a while, said Jim an hour later. The author must have gone for a bite. I hope it makes him sick. Did anyone hit that grenade? Yet, I mean no. But the submachine gunner on the other side got close. Do you think it had reached orbit yet? Probably, fortunate grenade. So let's accept the gunner's claims and call this a defeat and go home. I'm going to try to jump over to that fantasy novel next to us on the shelf. I heard the women are cute and never wear much. That sounds good, I join you. I have had enough of this high literature. It is too excessive even for a Russian. Besides, we know the author needs to painfully kill both of us so he can look like a serious author. Author's instruction. Darn it, I can't find those characters. How did they get out of the story? End.
Yeah, we all have those characters who keep talking back to us and around us and going, but I don't like what you're doing. Our next reader is Randall Thomas, an actual fairly new member of IFWA with Via Delagravita.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm fairly new. I think I've been coming to the meetings for a couple of years, but before that was like a 20-year hiatus from writing. For some reason, my career took over. I did have a story and a poem published in the early 90s and did a live reading on an event called Splits the Herd that was running every 6 months to a year. So I'm still trying to get my writing legs back, and this is an attempt at it. So I appreciate the nudge with the Gravity Street. Here goes. This is a piece that was published in the Revista Squisito in the November 2119 issue. It's called Via Delagravita. For confection connoisseurs seeking a truly divine experience, the master chocolatiers in the Castello di Montalto near Ivrea in Piedmont, have created a sumptuous concoction of 16 bonbons, each of which is both a visual delight and a marvel of engineering craftsmanship. While the chocolates of Via Delagravita, a name playfully nodding to a 20th century assortment, are modestly priced at 3,500 euros, the deposit for the Arca containing the bonbons is a prohibitive €500,000. The deposit was once 500,000, but when the Arca fell into short supply due to the cognoscenti keeping the containers for their own jewelry boxes, the price went up to cover replacement costs and add a little profit for future creations. What's so special about the Arca? Artistry meets engineering. Think of the bejeweled covers of the Lindisfarne Gospels or the updated Chamonix Gospel of Judas. Consider the interior spaces of the Alhambra. Your eyes gaze at everything and nothing simultaneously. Your fingertips hesitate over the surfaces, dare to touch, then trace long, lingering paths over and around intricate textures. Your breath shallows, your pulse quickens. You anticipate what lies within. You need to know. 6 clasps of samarium cobalt magnets hold the lid in place. As the last one is released, the front softly lifts up and back until it clicks into place. Sodium vapor light illuminates the descriptions of the 8 pairs of chocolate jewels, which stare up at you on a bed of deep, sanguine velvet beneath a dense glass covering. The bonbons themselves are all painted with hallucinogenic dyes to resemble polar hemispheric pairs of the solar system, the 7 non-Earth planets and Titan. Each pair of treasures are separately accessible within their own pnictide containment fields. Once a choice has been made and the field neutralized, the others are locked out to prevent mixing for health and safety reasons. I confess complete indecision when finally faced with the choices before me. I lingered over the tantalizing descriptions, salivated at the bonbons' designs, and let myself be mesmerized by the fluctuating bismuthic colors of the pnictide fields. With their permission, here is the selection note for my ultimate choice. Titan, a cool ganache of Antarctic iced cream and Ecuadorian cocoa infused with the sweet blue ink of the Marianas squid, is entangled in a clear story quantum architecture of up charm bottom to quasi-negate your mass to 14%. Drift in the psychotropic illusions of the moon's liquid hydrocarbon lakes. Dance atop the ammonia flows of cryovolcanoes. And I did, for an hour. The engineered concoctions are precisely timed so that once you've consumed the halves 5 minutes apart, the gravimetric and psychotropic effects last for 55 minutes. I chose to spend that time at dusk along the dwindling shores of the Dead Sea, now a 20-minute walk from the Mujib chalets. Before the light failed, I managed to walk across the surface of the water, perhaps the first person to do so in over 2 millennia. I am grateful to the master chocolatiers at Castello di Montalto for indulging me, and my thanks also to Exquisite Magazine for providing the deposit. I'll return the Arca soon, very soon. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Randall. That's very evocative. I think I want some chocolates like that. Okay, next is somebody who looks an awful lot like me, Lee F. Patrick, reading Off to the Stars, which is a slight variation on The Promised Land, originally done in audio by Manawaker Studios in 2018. So I tweaked it a little bit, and here we go. So, Off to the Stars. I write science fiction, fantasy, and thrillers, and have all kinds of, a lot of stories on my hard drive that need to get new homes. So, you know, that's the way we are. So, Off to the Stars. Epsilon Station sits in deep space, far from any star. This station was the final link between Earth to the stars in the 16 colonies established in the past 200 years. Chief Raynell Kurgison watched from a viewport as another ship full of hopeful colonists slowly docked to her customs module, her pilot matching the rotation that produced the gravity for the station's streets and byways with the ease that came with long practice. Raynell flipped her computer screen on. The incoming ship was the Torch of Wonder. The Arcadian family had 3 ships now, she thought. Although this one was a relatively new visitor, she'd been up and down the route over a dozen times now. Folk who had money were leaving Earth and its problems behind. She wasn't sure that many of those who came through the station were truly prepared for the hard life of a colonist. She sighed as Max Girondo, her second shift line boss, came into the receiving area to check the manifest. "Colonists again," she said. 2 other agents came in after Max. They would process the 180 colonists on the incoming vessel within an hour and get them tucked into transient housing until their connecting ship came through in 5 days. Torch of Wonder had brought them this far. Other, larger ships would take the colonists further among the stars. "Downloaded the list, Chief," Max said. 80 men, 70 women, and 30 kids all over 10. All looks good, so far. They felt the slight kiss of the ship docking. They didn't normally hear the procedure unless there was a need to evacuate the area. "Torch of Wonder has docked, Chief Kurgison," said the navigation and docking tech. "Passengers should begin to disembark shortly. Cargo transfer will be underway in 15. They're taking a lot of stuff with them." Raynell hit a direct link on her comm. "Thank you, Nav. We're ready for them," she said, then switched to another channel. "Escorts to customs for passenger 8 and 15, confirming 150 adults, 30 children over 10. We hear you, Chief. Manifest is clearing and we'll have room assignments in 3 to our links. See you soon." "Thank you," Raynell replied. A thud from the end of a short corridor was heard as the ship's main hatch was opened by the crew. Another hatch connected to the cargo storage area where 4 other agents waited. Torch also had 2 full holds of equipment that was heading out to either the same colony or another one. Shuffling sounds as the passengers started to exit. There were always some passengers who were ready the moment the ship docked and others who didn't start packing until then. It evened out the workload, so she didn't mind. Raynell squared her shoulders and put on her professional smile, as did the rest of the team. Their smiles vanished as the first passengers came into the bay. 3 men, all resembling the long dead, but never forgotten, Elvis Presley. 3 different periods in his life. The 3 women looked like his daughter at various ages. Other variations of Elvis followed them, some looking identical, down to the last rhinestone on their belts. "Why me?" she thought. "Those other stations could have warned us this was coming. Arseholes." "Welcome to Epsilon Station," she managed to say without missing a beat. "Please have your passports and colony documentation ready. Form 3 lines, 1 for each station. Families should stay together to cut down on confusion." There would be plenty of that today until these people left. The first Elvis, through Max's station, had his old and new identity documents, along with full biometric data and pictures of his tattoos, none of which were of Elvis. He showed the pictures and the reality to Max, who signed off on him since Raynell didn't object. His wife also had the same sort of data. "Been planning this for years," he said once the last document was stamped. He was a middle-aged Elvis, but before the singer had gained weight. Thought we'd have trouble on account of the surgery, but it was worth it to get through so easy. "Does everyone else have similar documentation?" Raynell asked, mentally crossing her fingers and promising to pray in every chapel on the station if that was so, on her knees. "Well, some didn't have the credits that we did, but everyone all passed the other stations," the man replied, now looking slightly worried. "Is everything all right, Chief?" We'll have to see, sir. Please wait over here for just a moment. We may have some confusion in the housing arrangements due to your modifications. One moment, please. She did not run from the bay. She walked with purpose. On the other side of the closed door, the gaggle of escorts waited. Raynell took a deep breath and activated the screen, showing the interior. They all stared at the Elvises in a mixture of shock, fascination, and horror. We have a problem. Elvis is in the building, and I doubt we can easily tell them apart because they all look so similar. I need biometric name tags, ASAP. Go. One of the young men sprinted for the bridge. Advise the commander of our issues while you wait to have them fabricated, she added, spotting a quick wave before the man was out of sight. All these men look like Elvis? Raynell wasn't sure who said it, but the tone matched her initial response to the king's. 10 adult men I've seen so far, so it's very probable. Some of the women are biosculpted into his daughter, which is strange. Thankfully, not all of them did so. Kids are just kids. For now, just take them to their quarters. We may have to re-interview and double-check everyone just to be sure who gets on the damn ship in 5 days. At least they can't hide out here, looking like they do. I just wonder how they managed to tell each other apart. She went back into the bay and smiled and coughed to attract the attention of the Elvises already through processing. We're getting some special ID tags for you later today. It's so that our people will be sure you get to the right staterooms if you get turned around in the corridors. It happens quite often, but with so many of the kings here, we don't want to be confused and take you to the wrong quarters. The guides started taking the family to their assigned quarters. A few other crew in the hallways watched in amazement at the procession. 5 days later, Raynell collected the last of the ident cards as the Elvises headed for their new life. Max watched from beside her. Were they all who they said they were, he asked. All the documents looked good, Raynell replied, and I just didn't want to step on their dreams of escape from Earth. If any of the original documents were forged, they were all very good work. And now, Chief? Now we go get drunk and block all the Elvis songs in the database for at least a month. Just until the next batch arrives, boss. I looked up the Church of Elvis. There are thousands of them on Earth. They're all saving up money to go to this colony they've started. Some richer members are subsidizing others. This is just the start of the migration. His smile was forced. Raynell looked at him in absolute horror. The end. So, I hope you enjoyed that. And our last entrant is Renee Bennett. If Renee can give a short intro for herself, and then go into the story whose name may or may not be the girl from Ipanema.
Well, the story is currently called The Girl from Ipamea, or Ipamoya, probably Ipamoya. There's reasons for that. It's probably going to change because that's a placeholder title. And I was writing it earlier this week and having some issues and stayed up way too late this morning finishing it off, and I'm still not happy with it. But you know what? You guys can tell me whether or not it sucks. So there. So, The Girl from Ipamoya. Tasia Aiden! Keelan Kelly drapes himself all over the back of the booth, trying so hard to be cool, he almost manages it. Such a long time you've been gone. Come dance with me. Okay, maybe he's a little bit cool. Don't mind if I do, I say, and I crawl over Josie's lap to get out of the booth. She cops a feel, but That's the toll one pays. I escape her fingers and grab Kalen's and drag him out onto the floor with the bass thumps in my bones and the guitars send my muscles jumping and the singer's wail shoves all other considerations aside. We flail, Kalen and I, and we're utterly ridiculous and totally uncool, and I disappear into the music for a while. No flowers. Yay. The sound flattens out and the DJ shrieks something about the next artist and Kalen spins me around. We laugh and I remember why I used to go out with him. He's fun, always has been. Why did I leave? We dance another again and then Josie barges through and steals him for the next spin, so I go back to the table. Darmela leans across and says, "You could have him tonight." She snaps her fingers under my nose. Like that. Yeah, I could. A tray of shots arrives. Darmela and I slam 3 each before Josie dives in for her share. Kalen gets 2, and then I drag him out for more flailing. Darmela slinks up to show him how it's done, and she and I do a bump and grind that gets him all flushed. Then back to the table for more shots. "Hey," says Kalen, and he leans down to pick something up off the floor. "What have we got here?" "Pretty," says Josie. She plucks the half-crushed flower out of Kalen's fingers. "Looks like a white morning glory." She twirls it and tucks it in over her right ear, crushed side hidden in her hair. She leans toward him, and they flirt so outrageously with each other that Darmela spills her next shot into her cleavage, which means all 3 of us volunteer to help lick it up. My heart's not really in it, though. Damn flowers. Josie goes home with Kalen. Darmela wants to go with me, but I cheat and set off my alert. Ugh, boss calling, which gets her nodding along to my disappointment. We trade kisses, and then I hit the plates of Gravity Street, heading toward the independent dock zone, where the mayor of Ibiza is docked. I walk right past and into the gold zone of a corporate hub. What the hey? I'm here anyway. I go to the jobs office and check their boards. Nothing. Everything here needs certificates. I could pass if I could afford the fees. I apply to every pilot slot anyway, give my contact number, and keep going to the next dock. And the next. And the next. Not a lot of places hiring pilots. Nobody hiring up by the bootstraps pilots with no official papers because the jerk head pilot off of Ibiza won't sign off on the ones I earned. He says I'm uncooperative. I say he's an extortionist. Guess who the ship captains listen to? I walk all the way around back to Gravity Street before I throw up another stinking flower. Maybe I should have gone with Darmela. I should go back to Ibiza, do my groveling, let that turd do what he wants, and get out of there with my papers, if not with my dignity or my self-respect. Am I desperate enough yet to sell my self-respect for flight papers? I'm walking in that direction when some rando in a med jacket stops me and says, "Hey, were you in the crossed rockets earlier tonight?" Like an idiot, I say, "Yeah, so?" And like that, I'm in quarantine. Well, so much for both my dignity and my self-respect. I should talk about the flowers. Mom told me about them when I was young, told me it was a thing in our family. How a girl will find her one and only, and she'll vomit flowers until the object of her affections realizes, "Hey, girl!" and they get together happily ever after. Of course, it doesn't always work that way, so the family tree is littered with dead branches. I'm just the latest. You see, if the object d'affection doesn't notice or return the sentiment, then the girl keeps throwing up roses or lilies or, in my case, moonflowers, as the plants grow in their lungs until they choke and die and turn into, I don't know, midden heaps? Compost, anyway. Mom does horticulture, and she swears that the weeping cherry in the water garden of the Pioneer Memorial is her Aunt Elizabeth. And the mound of bright red phlox in the Council Common Garden is her sister Flay. I never believed her growing up. It's silly. People turning into flowers. People memorialized with flowers, sure. But people being the memorial flowers? The med crew parks me in an isolation cell where I successfully do not vomit another flower. I swallow it, feeling it dissolving in my belly, psychoactive chemicals leaching out of the disintegrating petals into my bloodstream. The lights gain rings of color, fantastic shades that I can't normally see and don't want to see now, because if I can't keep my head straight and this damn disease secret, they'll keep me here and study me, and the plants will grow until I die, or until they cut them out of me, and that will save my life, but the love I feel will be gone forever. I like being alive, but love, I don't know if I can live without love, even doomed love. I swallow another flower. Time dissolves into colors and the impression of movement that is always just beyond the edge of my vision. I chase it and end up spinning in place, around and around and around, dripping petals as I sweat. That's done it, I think. And let go, building a sodden ring of pale posies, breath rattling with each blossom dribbled onto the floor. A med tech comes by to check on me and yelps. I grin and slam into the transparent wall between us. Hi! He makes the most adorable little eep and flees, yelling for help. Or his mommy. My hearing is going along with my color vision. I slide down the wall and sit, pulling flowers out of my mouth. These ones are on vines, long lines of heart-shaped leaves and white trumpet blossoms. I try to braid some into a crown, but my fingers refuse to remember where the crosses go. So I heap them around me and wonder which garden I will end up in, if Mom will tell my little sisters that this vine was Big Sister Tasia. A doctor shows up and says something, but it isn't an adorable yeep, so I ignore her. She goes away. Has anyone called my mom yet? More people show up and ask questions and make other irrelevant noises. I'm finding it harder and harder to breathe, to get the damn flowers out fast enough so I can draw one more breath in. Make room, make room. Hanakai Disease? That's fictional, someone says behind me, which is relevant. So I turn and flatten a flower against the glass. Fictionalize this, I slur, and cough out a series of spiral-shaped buds. They uncoil and bloom as they hit my knees. Ipomoea alba, white tropical moonflower. I smile. Poisonous. Do not eat unless you want to see the pretty colors. Half a dozen people stand on the other side of the glass, most of them doctors, at least one peacekeeper. One of them says, "What the hell is Hanakai disease?" And someone else gives them the explanation Mom gave me. Not so relevant. My hand splayed on the glass seems translucent, the light shining through the palm so I can see the bones inside the flesh, thinning, turning to roots. Slower growing than the bushes in my lungs, but just as sure. Someone mentions cure, someone else mentions surgery. I find myself on my feet screaming, "No!" Silence and everyone staring. "No," I whisper. "No. Don't take it away from me. No." One figure moves forward. The flowers? The love. Silence lies like the dark between stars for a long, stretched moment. Even my flowers seem to pause. My interrogator says, "Do you know who?" I grin and feel a heart-shaped leaf slip out from between my teeth. Not who. Then what? I look up into Station Master Thorisdottir's deep gray eyes. Out there. Her eyes narrow. Someone behind her talks about getting the list of ports that Ibiza last touched, finding my unrequited love object somewhere among them. As if they could. As if any one person or any one station or ship or dockyard could hold my heart all by themselves. It isn't a person I want to say, but a mass of white trumpets is forcing its way out of my depths and into the air, and it's just as well, because Hanakai Disease is about romantic love, right? About finding that one and only person and either being loved back or not. Not whatever it is I feel when I'm out there flying. Thora's daughter pushes away from the glass and stalks across the room and out a door. I feel like I'm watching my last hope walk out with her. The doctors close in and cut off my view, and I'm back to ignoring the idiot noises from doctors who can't help. And I'm back to stealing every breath, every moment from the flowers filling the emptiness within. It's hopeless, but I do. Is that hope or just automation? They put me in an isolation suit and stuffed me in a blank car to move me. More quarantine. Flowers fill the suit. Blossom and bud, leaf and vine. I can watch the arms and chest and legs bloat bit by bit, and it's getting harder and harder to breathe. I can't reach down my own throat anymore to pull the vines out. They clog the back of my mouth, probe my nasal passages, push out my cheeks. The car stops and everyone piles out except me, doctors yelling. Peacekeepers pile in and we start again. Black spots in my vision. Soon now. Very soon. But I cough and spit, cough and spit. A moment more of life. Another. Mom would never forgive me if I didn't keep trying. We reach a dingy dock full of junk and frost. A little man in a heavy coat stands by Thora's daughter, who points me at a single-man scout craft of a vintage older than anyone still alive. She doesn't have to say a thing. I stagger for it, the suit clumsy around my arms and legs. I get to the hatch and inside, where a tiny cabin with blinking lights tell me the ship lives. Barely. Half these panels are dead, but the engine is live, and so is life support, and what more do I need? I shuck the suit in a shower of petals and fall into the pilot seat. Navigation lights up. I have a priority exit and a preferred departure lane. Traffic is already rerouted. The comm buzzes. If you live, I want a clear, accurate map of this entire cursed system. Thora's daughter's growl slides through the rising rumble as the engine comes to life under me. Every flying rock, every lost bolt, every bloody grain of sand headed stationward. You copy? I cough a shower of leaves over my seat and take one deep, sweet breath. And if I die, you become another goddamn traffic hazard. Don't. Yes, ma'am. I tell station control my heading and am gone. It takes a few days to be sure the flowers are gone too. I can feel them just beyond the edge of reality, waiting in case I betray my love of spaceflight again by staying too long in dock. I won't. I belong to my little Ipomea now, and she belongs to me. Thora's daughter has it in my contract. It'll be years before I've cleared the papers, but they don't matter so long as I'm out here.
An awesome story, Renee. Oops, we got something on the chat. Yeah, from Katie to Renee. To reply to your early point, it really doesn't suck.